Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast, where we bring you the latest insights, trends, and strategies to help Canadian small businesses thrive. Today's episode is particularly exciting as we focus on key areas like women in business, succession planning, and what makes a brand stand out in a crowded market. Small businesses are the backbone of the Canadian economy, and in today's competitive landscape, understanding how to navigate leadership transitions and carve out a unique space for your brand can make all the difference. Our guest today is someone who exemplifies visionary leadership in business, and with over 3 decades of expertise in communication industry, Elyse Boulet is recognized for her ability to bring transformative growth to organizations. Elyse has recently embarked on a new chapter as she acquired Pigeon Brands in partnership with Kairos Capital. Her entrepreneurial spirit and strategic insights have not only helped her business scale, but also positioned her as a top leader in her field. So join us as we welcome Elyse to the podcast. Elyse, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. How are you today?
Great. Thank you for having me. It's just a
Very
pleasure.
pleased to have you. Now, Elyse, let's begin by discussing women in business. As more women step into leadership roles, they are not only shaping industries but also setting new standards for how businesses operate. And at least you've been a part of this wave of change, driving success in a male-dominated field. Tell us, like, what inspired you to take that leap and acquire Pigeon Brands, and what does your journey as a female entrepreneur in the communications industry look like?
Well, as a female entrepreneur, I would say it doesn't define me because I'm an entrepreneur. That's it. However, being a woman in a male-dominated industry for so long has taught me a few things. First and foremost, to be more confident in myself, and put myself forward a little bit, because sometimes as women, we just tend to stay in the back of things and not put yourself too much forward. So it's just normal to have a voice for your company. In terms of deciding to acquire Pigeon, it's really funny because I come from a family of entrepreneurs. And I had decided I would not go that route. But at one point, I just realized that at the end of the day, I've been working for everybody else as I would have for my own company. So when the opportunity came about, I became partner with Thomas Pigeon, the founder of Pigeon. And when he decided that it was time for him to move to another chapter of his life, I just told myself, okay, like, if I'm not the boss, who is it gonna be?
Mhm.
And I thought that I had everything needed to move forward.
That's incredibly inspiring, Elise. I mean, your journey shows how passion and strategic insight can break down barriers, and I'm sure that listeners can learn a lot from your experiences. Now, as a woman leading such a renowned agency, what challenges have you faced and how did you overcome them?
Well, at the end of the day, you arrive in a meeting, you're sometimes the only woman that's in that meeting. You just have not to think about that.
Hmm.
You have to be confident in what you bring to the table. You have to voice what you think, but being respectful to everyone else and their perception and how they behave. I would say that it's less and less a big thing because women are really taking a stance and really putting themselves forward in different leadership positions. But main challenges would be maybe making sure that people don't take you for granted, or really you feel credible in front of them. And just as an example, my first language is French. So I would go to meetings and I would be very embarrassed about my accent.
Hmm.
And at one point I realized, well, everybody in the room really had an accent because we're so multicultural. It doesn't matter anymore. Well, it's the same thing for being a female entrepreneur. I view it exactly the same way. We all have different accents, all have different perspectives, and that's what we bring to the table. So The challenges are mainly inward in a way. When you are able to just go outside of it, you can create magic.
Thank you for sharing those, invaluable insights. It's inspiring to hear how you've navigated your journey, especially in an industry that requires resilience. Now, speaking of resilience, that leads us to our next topic, which really touches on succession planning and how to ensure a smooth transition in leadership. Now, Elise, succession planning can be one of the most significant transitions for any business, ensuring that the legacy of an organization continues successfully, which requires both strategic planning and trust in the next generation of leaders. Elise, you recently acquired Pigeon Brands from its founder, Thomas Pigeon. Could you please walk us through what led you to make this move and how Kairos Capital fit into this plan?
Well, I've built a relationship based on trust, just like what you were saying with Thomas. We've worked together as partners for many years before we even began talking about this succession. And when it became a real topic, I think it just made sense to everybody. The proof was there that I had the ability to move forward. So for Thomas, it was something normal. At the end of the day, though, when you own a company and when your name is on the door like Thomas Pigeon, it's hard because you define yourself with your work and what you've built. So I think the secret is to be very respectful of that, respectful of what that person or that group of person has built, and really embrace it. So when you make the move, it's just so much more natural at the end of the day.
No, you're right. Succession planning is a cornerstone of ensuring that longevity of any business, and your insights, at least into the process, are incredibly valuable, and it really shows that with the right strategy, transitions can be seamless and empowering. Listeners, succession planning is more than just passing the legacy. It's about ensuring that the future leaders of your company have the tools and vision to carry on it. So yeah, whether you're thinking about stepping back or just starting out, consider how you're future-proofing your business for long-term success.
And
Elisa,
it's it's passing the torch at the end of the day,
it
because
is.
you cannot buy a company and completely change everything like the next day. And if you're buying it, it's because you like something about it and you believe in it.
Absolutely.
So you have to believe in it. And that's exactly how we did it with Kairos as well. Our industry is rapidly evolving. So we need to have like the financial backbone to make sure that we're addressing those changes in the industry and are being able to invest. So that's why I did not take on fully Pigeon only by myself. I
Mhm.
just wanted to make sure that I had that capacity to invest in the company. So moving forward, we can continue evolving and serving our clients in the best way possible with the best tools, the best talent. That's what makes a real difference. So finding those partners was not an easy task. I did go over and had different conversations, but I felt that we had the same values. We were there for the same goal, investing for the long run.
Mhm.
So that was really important to me, that it was not just a short-term gig, because I don't believe that you can build a brand, continue building a brand, if you only look at the short-term objectives.
Well, that's such a thoughtful approach to acquisition, Elise. It's clear that having a solid vision for the future is critical when navigating such pivotal moments. And on today's saturated marketplace, having a unique selling point or a USP is critical for standing out and ensuring long-term brand loyalty. Elise, Pigeon Brands has worked with some of the world's leading brands. What is the unique selling proposition for Pigeon Brands that allows you to stay competitive in such a crowded market?
I would say that we're brand builders, and brand builders from the moment marketing strategy takes off. We're talking about corporate and brand strategy, design, omni-channel communication, all the way to the crucial moment of truth. And through the years, we've really become those experts at the moment of truth. And the moment of truth is that moment when you choose a brand, whether it's at shelf, whether it's online. It's those 3 critical seconds where you make that choice. And with time, we've evolved as an agency from being concentrated more on branding and packaging to a more omni-channel agency. But the lens that we use to create everything we do is through that moment of truth to deliver really tangible results. So really being able to create the transaction while building the brand for the long term. We've kind of mastered the art of creating connections between brands and consumers from the moment of inception to that moment of truth and everything in between. And very few agencies can say that. When you're talking about working more on the corporate strategy before any brief or marketing brief is given to an agency, we're often there, or working on the product or service as innovation or starting by naming it. So that's really what differentiates us from the moment of inception to the moment of truth, being experts at that. And also for all of our CPG clients, being able to create the box, which is the packaging, and thinking outside of it, as we can help companies do everything in between.
You're absolutely right. And that's a great point that you mentioned, at least consistency in values and innovation certainly seem to be the foundation of a successful brand. And it's clear that the future is bright for you and your team because the way that you're staying true to your core values while really adapting to rapidly changing market is truly what sets brands like yours apart. And listeners, please remember that standing out in today's market is more than just products or services. It's really about the values that you stand for and experiences that you create. So please take a moment to reflect on your own business and think what really makes you unique. Now, at least now let's shift our focus. I'd love to kind of, touch on your leadership approach and how you foster creativity within your team, especially in an agency environment, right? Because a creative and empowered team is often the force behind a successful brand. And at least you've built quite a team of specialists at Pigeon Brands who are known for their creative approach to problem solving. So, yes, tell us, how do you foster creativity and innovation within your team while maintaining high standards of execution?
Well, it starts with the values. We were talking about that. It's all about that can-do attitude, the relentless pursuit of excellence, but it's also about a rigorous process. You can have the most talented people around the table if they're not curious, if they don't think they're going to make it, and if they don't follow a process, it's just going to be something pretty that you're going to create, but not something that's strategically anchored in a human truth or a product truth or a brand truth. So our process is very rigorous, and we really start by making a discovery of everything that's happening in terms of cultural movements, in terms of brand truth, in terms of category truths, in terms of consumer truths, to make sure that we understand the business as much or even more sometimes than our clients in the matter of the connection that we're going to create with consumers. And then we define it. And along the way, it's a very collaborative process because our clients have insights. Our clients work day to day in their business. So we cannot think that we're going to know everything. We need to work together to build those insights and make sure that we're creating something that's true to the brand that we serve. And then we go into creative development. So when the creative people are part of that discovery, are part of that definition, when we take the time to really crystallize all these insights. So when they create, they're inspired, and they're inspired on the right things. So we're not doing hits and miss. We're really building something together that both the agency people and our clients are engaged with, and feel really confident about. And the spirit of collaboration has inspired us to do something that a lot of companies say they do, but we're kind of really making it happen. We're building one company, one team. We have offices in Montreal and Toronto, and we're doing everything in one P&L. That means that if I need a resource in Toronto working with a resource in Montreal, there's no problem. There's no administration behind it. Oh, I'm going to charge you that time, or no. It's all to make sure that we're building the right team for the right client and building the right team so they can foster that creativity, have fun doing it, and making sure that there is no barriers to that collaboration. So I would say that sums it up a little bit.
It sounds like empowering your team to think outside the box is the key to your success, and that must create a dynamic and collaborative environment. And it's clear that, fostering a culture of creativity and collaboration can drive both innovation and results. Now, Elyse, as we wrap up today, what exciting plans or goals do you have for Pigeon moving forward, and what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs and business leaders that are listening today?
I would say that our focus right now is developing the US market. We're very successful even now at doing it. And I think that our capacity to use our process and really do our homework so well, we're able to work in any market we want. We already have an international footprint, and that's something that we want to develop moving forward. And if I would give an advice to anyone trying to develop their team and their brand, it's really go for it. Just go for it. Dream it, but action it. As an example, here we have started to implement EOS, which is a method to make sure that you gain traction on everything that you're doing. Because, we can all relate to all these meetings that we go on and on about an issue, and 3 months later, you're still talking about that issue and that same issue, and nothing is resolved.
Right.
That management method that we've implemented as the end of last year has really given us result, making sure that when we're looking at something, we're looking to resolve it and we have an action plan. So if you want to attain your goal, you can dream as big as you want because you're going to have traction to attain them.
Right. Elyse, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure hearing your insights. Again, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Have a good day.
And listeners, that was the end of our discussion with Elyse Boulet. Again, thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the podcast. We had the pleasure of speaking with Elyse, an aspiring leader with decades of expertise in the communications industry, now steering Pigeon Brands into a new era of success. We covered a lot of topics that included women in business, succession planning, and the unique approach that has set Pigeon Brands apart in the competitive marketplace. Elyse's vision and leadership have truly demonstrated the importance of strategic planning and creative execution in today's business world. We'd like to take a moment to thank our partners as well, RBC, UPS, Constant Contact, IAG, and Google for their invaluable support in making this podcast possible. Please visit our website to subscribe to the magazine at CanadianSME.ca for more insightful content like today's. Until next time, stay inspired and keep pushing your business to new heights. Thank you.